So Google is on this huge mission to build artificial general intelligence, AGI. But lately, their whole strategy for how to actually get there has been completely transformed. And we're not talking about a small tweak here. This is a massive shift in how they're thinking about the future of AI. Okay, so let's get right into what this new blueprint looks like.
It really all kicks off with this incredibly blunt statement from Google's chief AI architect. I mean, this isn't some throwaway line in an interview. This is a flat-out declaration of a new direction. Which, of course, brings up the big question. If they're throwing out the old playbook, what's in the new one? In this explainer, we're going to break down the key pillars of Google's new AGI strategy. Okay, so first up, and this is probably the biggest change of all, the idea of co-building. It's all about moving AI development out of a lockdown, isolated research lab and putting it directly into the real world. And this slide, I think, just lays it out perfectly. The old way was that classic ivory tower R&D. Scientists in a lab running isolated experiments with the main goal being to publish a paper. The new way? It's a joint effort. Every single person using a Google product becomes a collaborator, a co-builder. This means AI isn't just being shaped by a handful of researchers anymore. It's being shaped by the needs and the collective intelligence of literally billions of people. And this is the engine that drives the whole thing, the feedback loop. It's this non-stop cycle. Google puts a model out there in a product, say the Gemini app. It gathers all these signals from how millions of us use it. Then it uses all that real-world data to make the model better. And then they do it all over again. This loop is now the main path to progress. All right, so that's the philosophy, but what about the technical side of things? Because it's not enough to just hoover up all this data from the real world. You got to know exactly where to point your efforts to actually make the model smarter. So the team talks about this process they call hill climbing. You can think of it like a mountain climber who's always looking for that very next handhold to get just a little bit higher. It's the same idea here, making constant, focused, step-by-step improvements to the AI's most important skills. And this is where it gets really interesting, because this slide shows us exactly which hills they're trying to climb. They are laser-focused on a few key areas: how well the AI follows instructions, its ability to use tools, making sure it works for everyone around the globe, and, maybe most importantly, coding. And look, this focus on coding, it's not just about making life easier for software engineers. The bigger goal here, as Koray says, is to get to a point where anyone, literally anyone with a creative idea can use the AI to bring that vision to life, to make it real. Now, a strategy like this, well, it requires a huge cultural change, right? You simply cannot build powerful, dependable products for the entire world if you're stuck in a research-only mindset. You can really see the contrast here. The whole mindset shifts from being academic and experimental, where the prize is publishing a paper, to being incredibly disciplined and engineering-focused. It means you start treating AI less like a cool science project and more like critical infrastructure. Success isn't a paper anymore. It's shipping a product that works and constantly improving that one core mainline model. And the sheer scale of this engineering effort, it's honestly mind-boggling. To get a single version of a Gemini model out the door, it takes over 2,500 people. Think about that. This is a massive, highly coordinated push from experts all across Google. And a huge piece of that engineering mindset is all about responsibility. This is not a move fast and break things kind of deal. Safety and security are baked in from the very beginning. They're treated as fundamental principles, not as some checkbox you'd tick off at the end. But here's a really important point. This whole plan isn't just about taking what they have and making it bigger. The engine that's actually driving this entire thing forward is continuous innovation. And that brings us to our last main idea. I mean, listen to this. Koray himself admits it. He says the single biggest risk to Gemini is not a competitor, it's not some technical problem, it's running out of new ideas. That's a pretty stunning admission, right? It tells you that the path to AGI isn't some known recipe they just have to follow. Real progress is going to depend on a constant stream of new inventions, not just executing perfectly on what they already know. So when you step back and look at all these pieces, co-building with the world, this intense engineering focus, and this relentless engine of innovation, you start to realize that we're at a really important moment in the history of AI. You know, it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day headlines, but as the people actually building this stuff point out, we're lucky to be alive right now to see this.
This isn't science fiction about some distant future. It is happening right now.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. This new way of building AGI means it's not a spectator sport. Every time you or I use an AI tool, we're sending a signal. We're contributing to that feedback loop. We are, whether we realize it or not, part of the process. So the question isn't really if AGI will be built anymore. The real question is, what part are you going to play in shaping it?